Welcome back to FlowState. How are you doing? How are you feeling? I think I'm gonna sneeze. Oh boy. Nope. Wait, false alarm. Man, talk about FlowState. Anything can happen. Everything is possible. Today, we're in a completely new location off the northern coast of Tenerife. North America is that way. We're gonna flow. We're gonna find a path to walk. We're gonna get to this ridge over here. We're gonna talk about connection. We're gonna talk about motivation. We're gonna talk about ambition. We're gonna talk about clarity. We're gonna talk about the fact that we have launched our weekly live group coaching, available now for you at no cost for now. And the fastest way to get plugged in is to check out the description in the show notes. And there should be a link there, everydayactioncoach.com/live. Join Everyday Action at no cost to you to be included in our weekly group coaching. We had the first session this past week. Phenomenal. I tried going live on Instagram as well, but I was informed by Instagram as I was clicking live that you need a minimum subscriber count of 1,000 subscribers or followers to be able to activate this feature now. I guess they changed it. So anyways, we went live on platform only. It was fantastic. And it's an opportunity for you to connect with me personally in a more intimate setting where you can choose to have your camera on or off, but most importantly, showing up with some questions about where you are in your life, looking to have guidance and an opportunity for some coaching. So the foundation of these live sessions starts off with a training session where I will be examining a topic like clarity, for example. And then we'll break out into a live coaching session where I will call on people to be able to share what's alive in them, to be able to create an opportunity for growth. And this is an absolutely wonderful experience. And for right now, we have, a limited number of available seats available. Limited number of available seats available. Very good. And so take advantage of this. This is such a fantastic opportunity, something I wish I had access to when I was going through my personal development of a 9-year journey that, if this is the first time that you're dropping in, well, you'll hear me talk about this, but this was my own unguided, unsupported personal development of 9 years that metastasized into the growth blueprint, the foundation of the curriculum that I teach and train people on. And I find the concepts to be so powerful, and my purpose is to amplify the human experience for you, to be able to bridge the gap in a most effective way so that you can live into your highest potential by aligning your actions with your goals, with your future you, with your vision of where you're looking to go. And being able to support you in that journey brings me so much joy and fulfillment in my life. I wish the same for you in your discovery, in your purpose of life and choice and career path. Anything that we can do as a collective to amplify each other, to be able to create opportunities of growth and empower one of us to strive to that next plateau of growth, right? Because we're constantly climbing up, and then we reach this moment of clarity that is beyond just, knowing what to do next, but a sense of feeling of calm. And that is it's almost like a Zen moment, okay? It's this idea of, what it feels like to reach enlightenment only to have it taken away from you, because these moments are absolutely fleeting. Okay, we have come to a barrier here, and looks like this is pretty much sealed off. So I don't think this is happening. That's kind of a bummer because it's super nice over there. But I wonder if we can do a little, I don't know, there's a gate over there. All right, it is what it is. We'll meander and figure it out. We'll go on another path. I just want to take a little tourist moment here. This is such a cool location, and my intention was to go all along this path, all to that ridge over there. We've come swimming here plenty of times. The water is really deep, so you can jump off these rocks and cliffs and go pretty deep into the water. I think it's like 20 meters from the top of these cliffs down to the bottom of the ocean at least. So there's plenty of space for you to jump in, and the kids absolutely love it. Buenos días.
YouTuber.
Sí.
How many subs?
Shh.
Too many.
You want to see you live on YouTube right now?
Yeah.
Everyday action coach. Everyday action coach. Coach, like YouTube, yep. Enjoy the day, guys. Ciao. So, hola, ¿qué tal? Yeah, so as you can see, all of this down here is just volcanic rock that is an incredible location to go swimming. They call these charcos, which are essentially natural pools. We're not going to go down here because there's really not that much there's not that much area to walk. So we're going to go around this coast, and I think this should be open here. So Everyday Action Live is about creating a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to their personal development, to their growth. They feel a deep sense of personal responsibility to be able to lock in and amplify the human experience for themselves and the people that are in their life. So the outcome not only is that you feel more connected to your actions on a daily basis, but that you then interact with the world with this perspective and newfound clarity to be able to amplify your efforts in everything that you do so that you can have a positive impact on the world, not just yourself. It is important to take care of yourself first before being able to be helping others, because you want to come from a position of power and clarity and focus to be able to give others the same benefit that you have found within yourself. This is shoot, I think it's okay this way. Sorry, a little lost. So this is so important to me because the idea of uplifting people in every interaction to be able to amplify the experience of what it means to be fully alive, fully connected, is such a beautiful gift. It's the I love yous. It's the random acts of kindness that have a way of like permeating out through energy, right? And capitalizing on that is, in a way, your responsibility to ensure that you're doing your part to being able to enrich the world in whichever way you can. And so it's not just about feeling good and feeling aligned, but it's all of the little interactions that you have every day, waiting in line for your coffee or cafeteria, if you're in school or work or restaurants, dealing with people in the service industry, whatever it is, okay? It's about making sure that all of your energies are being projected out in a calm, joyous, internally controlled, but seeing past what is right in front of you, to be able to consistently be in alignment with supporting a positive energy. And that is a contagious fucking experience. I don't know if you've been around overly positive people, and it does rub off on you, and it feels good. And at first it's like, what the fuck are the people smiling all the time, and like, why are you so happy? And we're like, yeah, I mean, personally, I am really that annoying because I am genuinely ecstatic for every moment of every day, even when it's hard, even when I'm confronted with real struggle. And I just want to turn around here. Beautiful. Confronted with real struggle, and I feel the sense of impending doom, I stop, I recenter myself, take a few breaths, and the first thing that I always do when I feel this sense of overwhelm is I often understand conceptually that overwhelm is simply a disconnection between you having clarity and you having no clarity. So clarity is directly correlated to having a clear vision for where you're going. It's about doing the work to ensure that you know exactly how to get from point A to point B with as little resistance as possible. Resistance is inevitable. Resistance is something that we all are battling against. And the more proficient we become at resolving resistance by having clarity in our life, the less resistance we come up against. But it's still there. There are some days, so I'm engaged right now in a Duolingo practice. And it's like the first thing after my first sequence of events that I do in the morning. I'm still very much just waking up. But it's a thing that I've committed to because I want to improve my language skills with Spanish. And so I just said, okay, I'm committing to do this every day. I'm going to do one lesson every day, first thing in the morning. And I couple it with my core values. So I keep it dynamic. It's not that I read my core value statement first and then Duolingo second, and sometimes it's Duolingo first and core value second. It's like that part, that doesn't fucking matter. What matters is the intention and the practice of executing the thing that I said I was going to do, being consistent in my actions, closing the gap from where I was 110 days ago to where I am today, which is the number of days that I've done Duolingo consecutively. And so there are a few things at play here. One is I know how many days I've done it consecutively because it fucking tells me. And that gamification is crazy powerful. So it's something that we can then use in the rest of our life to gamify the game of life that we're already playing and use these strategies that are built into apps to incite engagement and apply these principles to everything that we do in our life. And I'm not suggesting that you keep track of it. It's just an overall principle, a philosophy to be able to implement in your life, to be able to keep accountability within the context of what you're doing, your actions, where you're looking to go, and the outcome of the efforts that you're putting in. It was the same thing when I set out to create the Everyday Action community and wanting to connect with people more on a more personal level, bring coaching to them in a way that is extremely convenient because it's something that I'm not asking for any compensation for. I'm doing this to be able to show people the power of guidance and coaching. And if they choose, then they can hire me as a coach and a guide to help them close the gap after we go through the curriculum. One of the prerequisites of working with me is that we have a foundational reset and we go through the growth blueprint as a guided experience. And the outcome of that is that you have a new conception of your values, your understanding of time, how to manage clock time, understanding your aligned actions. You know, everything needs to be compounding on one effort after the other so that you can create momentum in your life without the need to feel a certain way to take action. This is so important because so many people struggle with this. Motivation, right? It was one of the key topics that I said we would talk about. And now we find ourselves in a perfect situation, right next to this gorgeous cave here. Let's take a look. Pretty nice. Okay, so I don't know, maybe we'll just walk around here, talk about it. Seems like a good a space as any to meander. The original walk that I wanted to go on was not available today, so anyways. So motive, ambition, these things are intrinsically linked. Clarity at the forefront of all of this. I had someone leave a comment on one of my videos earlier today saying, how can we stay motivated all the time? That's an easy question to answer, but it does require some work to get to the answer for those individuals. And it starts by establishing clarity. Clarity in your life. Clarity through the fundamentals of how you're showing up every day. Clarity with the direction in which you're looking to go. Because without clarity, we're so easily overwhelmed. We're so easily put in a position where I just drew a blank. Stress as a negative attribute, whereas I see it as a catalyst for taking action. So many people see stress as a negative attribute, right? Something that is pushing them further away from their taking action and into a mode of dwelling in resistance. This idea that you're confronting against something that is preventing you from taking action is resistance. People talk about writer's block. People talk about, being in a creative lull or all of these things. And this is just resistance rearing its fucking head. It's not about the inability to write or paint or create or take action. It's that you are not operating from a position of clarity in your life. And so this idea of resistance is permeating through so profoundly that it is, in essence, blocking you from taking action. Fantastic location there. Amazing. So then, how do we get clear? How do we get aligned with clarity and motive to then drive motivation. It's a process that is developed and laid out in the growth blueprint for a reason. It's there as a core pillar because when we lack clarity, we lack purpose, we lack focus, we are more easily distracted. When we have clarity, we are locked fucking in, tight, like a Formula One race car pilot, like an F-16 pilot, someone doing highly sophisticated technical shit that requires all of your faculties operating and firing on all cylinders. That's what that feels like. That's what clarity is all about. The lack of clarity is feeling of overwhelm, easily distracted, succumbing to every whim, impulse, lack of impulse control, not actually seeing 2 steps ahead and putting yourself in a position that you're going to be compromising your future you. Meaning that if you have an opportunity to maybe go out with some friends and you know you shouldn't, but you do anyways, and then you spend more than you wanted to because you had a few drinks or whatever, and then you're stressing out because you're in a position of lack when it comes time to paying your bills, as an example, as something that I think a lot of people can relate to because it's just part of being human. You're going to be tempted constantly with doing the easy thing as opposed to the hard thing. And so the choice is yours to make. Are you going to take advantage of that opportunity within yourself and protect your future you and live in alignment with the thing that you said you wanted? Or are you going to succumb to these distractions because, you know, you really didn't have the clarity that you needed in your life in that moment to safeguard you from temptation? And it happens all the time. So much of what we're confronting every day is essentially one massive distraction after another. How many fucking meetings do you have to say yes to or no to? You know, it's like, do you really need to be doing the things that you're doing? Is it moving the needle forward in a meaningful way for you? Or is it just something that you think you need to do? I was in this position, oh my God, like for fucking years thinking, you know, I would go down the rabbit hole thinking that this page on this website needed to be really good before I could move on to the next thing. And it didn't fucking matter. And I spent all this time, this was for a clothing brand that I had, and I still have. It's called Herd Thinner. And, you know, it's like, or a design was good enough, not just good enough, but like it was very good. But then in my mind, I was like still debating whether I could just hit the fucking publish button and be done with it and move on to the next thing instead of just like agonizing over something that I was never going to get to anyways, right? This idea of perfection is essentially procrastination doubled up in hiding. It's like, you know, it's the same fucking shit. People who procrastinate constantly, it's a form of laziness ultimately, and it represents a lack of clarity and real grounding. So it's not that you want it done correctly. Of course you want it done correctly, but at a certain point, you can't make something better than your skill set will deliver on. And if you're in a position to outsource it to someone who has better skills than you do, well, then that's a decision that you need to understand within yourself before you can make it and have the confidence in your ability to make that decision, period. Otherwise, you're going to be spinning your fucking wheels, spending 10 hours on a fucking changing the button color on some fucking landing page as opposed to just committing to the thing because, you know, ultimately it kind of doesn't fucking matter. Now, investing in other aspects of the landing page that is going to move the needle in the direction that you need to is worth investing in. But having clarity is going to dictate where you invest your time. And knowing from experience, not necessarily my experience, but within your projects, within your life, within how you're allocating and breaking time down for yourself, you're the only one who can answer these questions. One of the reasons I love guidance so much is because it's an open conversation with people about what it is that they're doing in this moment, their struggles, the things that they're focused on, where are they going in their life, and having granular conversations about the actions that they're taking or not taking to ensure that they're in alignment with their path that they've already laid out. But it's also something that we need to reflect on, because if you're not grounding yourself in your values, you're grounding yourself in someone else's. Your values are being chosen for you. Unless you do the work, unless you focus, unless you answer specific questions and get clarity in yourself for how you're choosing to live every moment of every day, the decisions that you're making, the actions you're taking, the goals you're establishing yourself and attaching yourself to, right? This is like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of life we're talking about here. And the situation you don't want to find yourself in is starting on a path, not having the courage to pivot, and then forgetting about it, succumbing to all of the glory that is the benefit of whatever path you're on, and then waking up 30 years later and being like, oh my fucking God, what have I done? You know? No one wants that. But it's something that happens all the time. It's something that people struggle with all the fucking time. I know a few people personally, older people in my life, that have done this exact thing. And, you know, when you speak to them, you're like, man, they just lacked clarity for like 40 years. 40 years of being pushed in a direction that was just good enough for them not to fight against. And, you know, just this concept reminds me of this tactic that I think a lot of companies employ, especially larger companies. So they'll pay you just enough to not quit. They'll pay you just enough to ensure that you don't ask for a raise. They'll pay you just enough to keep you just above that threshold, that if that amount was just like X amount less, you know, and that's relative for everybody, but it's a strategic play. And they're there just keeping you prisoner strategically at their advantage. Not that they give a shit about you, of course, why would they, you know? This is a real thing that people fight against every day, and they're not putting enough attention on the what if possibility and the risk of not taking action and taking a risk and betting on themselves. And I get it, because once you get locked into a job and the pay is pretty good and you have your good friends and your team is good, but it's just like, there's something off. There's some underlying current that is just, it's unsettling. It's not driving the emotion that is the natural exuberance of life for you. You know, and so our emotions get triggered constantly. Our emotions really should cycle through quite quickly. You feel something, you accept, you let go. And when we latch on to our emotions, then feelings start to develop around those emotions. And feelings last a lot longer than emotions. So it's like you're driving in traffic, there's a little bit of traffic, somebody cuts you off, you feel something, and you can't quite let it go. That can't quite let it go, those are your feelings about the emotion in something that happened in the past, right? The action is done. It's done. fucking happened. There was no big, anything, but there could have been some movement and some, it's like you got startled or you got pissed off for whatever reason. And that's your inability to regulate yourself. Period. That's it. I mean, there's nothing more to say about it. It's you not having control over your faculties because you weren't present, because you latched onto something and then added meaning to it, and then you let that fucking meaning permeate for the rest of the day, and so you never quite fully recovered. Those are your emotions running your life, probably driven by the parasites that are in your body, of which all humans have. And the solution to this is clarity. The solution to this is presence. The solution to this is grounding yourself in core values. Because when you ground yourself in your values, these are your values. This has nothing to do with me. I'll provide you the structure to be able to discover those values for you. The difference between things that you think are values and the things that are really grounding you, right? There's a whole process that we'll go through. But at the end of the day, these are yours. This has nothing to do with me. My values are my values. Your values are your values. Certainly, there's an opportunity for overlap, but I would never impose what I ground myself in every day onto you. That makes no fucking sense. That's like saying you should take all the supplements that I take. What? That makes no fucking sense. Your body, your mind, completely different operating system than my body and my mind. Same thing with your brother, parents, sister, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's like you are responsible for you, and that's it. Obviously, as a father, I'm also responsible for other people. As a husband, I'm responsible for my wife. But we're talking adult to adult, individual to individual. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for your fucking shit. So take responsibility, get clear on your core values, because that is defining every moment of every day for you. The way you're showing up for yourself, the way you're thinking about everything that you're being confronted with, how you're choosing to respond, hopefully, not react, right? The difference between a conscious behavior and unconscious one. That's massive. Something that I speak about a lot is presence. It's the only thing that we have that's consistent, that we can either leverage to amplify everything that we do, or we could live in some kind of distracted, utopian, dysfunctional fucking shit show because we're not actually engaged with the world in front of us. We're too busy rehashing some bullshit from 10 years ago or from 5 minutes ago, and then applying it to something in the future which hasn't happened, which may or may not happen. Getting clarity in your life is the catalyst for you to make meaningful growth within the context of where you're looking to go. Applying it to everyday actions, no pun intended, but that's the fucking shit right there. When we talk about flow state, that's it. It's like taking action is the path to clarity. Taking action is the grounding practice that continuously supports this idea of you living in alignment with where you're looking to go. Future you work is extremely important, done correctly. It must be done correctly because you need to ground yourself in a methodology, in a system that's in alignment with where you're looking to go. It can't just be, I want to be rich and, whatever. Some dumbass shit like that. I'm not saying money is great. Money is fucking there to be used and leveraged and to be able to create things and to do amazing things, but it's not the purpose of anything. And if it is something that you hold so sacred in your life, it's not going to serve your interests in the long term, because it's an extrinsic thing that is ultimately a very low vibrational pursuit of life. Abundance is super important. An abundant mindset is extremely important. Looking to enrich your life, extremely important, because it's not just about you. It's not just about the status. It's not just about the things that you can do with the resources that you acquire over time. It's about grounding yourself in the things that are important, not just things that you think are important. Like, you know, you give up so many. Here's an example, right? I mean, it's crazy how many people latch on to things that are extrinsically charged in our society, such as status and how large your bank account is, okay? And are you willing to give up time with your kids for something that you can't take with you? Or for maybe a little bit nicer hotel room that is a very fleeting moment in time? Are you willing to sacrifice something for, like, not, I was gonna say something for nothing, which is true, kind of hilarious to me actually. And so, you know, it's like all of these choices that we are being presented with, right? If you have kids, I'm going to speak from the perspective of being a parent, because I am a parent, and the choices that I have made in my life to propel me to where I am today, with an understanding that there is a level of importance to my strategic thinking to be able to do the things that I want to do without compromising myself, my time, the relationships that I have with my children, my wife, my friends. I mean, think about the position you're in currently. Are you working for yourself, or are you working for someone else? And I'm not talking about a job here. I'm saying, like, are you exchanging all of your time for just enough? Right? Because it really never is just enough. Because when you get to just enough, your monthly expenses are probably all kinds of fucked up. Your monthly expenses are probably more than what you're able to handle, but that just enough gives you a sense of security that you can stay there. And so the trap that people find themselves in is that because they got just enough from their job and they can afford the new iPhone every 6 months or whatever the fuck, and they find themselves in a position where they're playing catch up, or the rat race of time and money and work, giving up so much of their life in exchange for this paycheck that gives them just enough stress in their life to know that they feel like they've made it in some way. But again, that's lack of clarity at a root level. That's lack of grounding at a root level that pushes you in this kind of direction. One where you haven't looked 10 years into the future in a very clear and methodical way that provides this clarity of vision and the lifestyle that accompanies that. So it's like the short game is being played, not the long-term game. And so you find yourself, however many years down the road, and you have all this stuff, and you have the house, and your relationships with your kids are not that great because you never actually invested in them. You spent all this time chasing things that you realized, well, so you have a few million, whatever that is for you. But, you know, it's like, in exchange for what? You still only got your couple of weeks vacation a year if you're working at a salary, and you're on call 24 hours a day because that's just the nature of it. And so imagine if you just took a little less at the beginning 20 years ago, and that created more opportunity for you because you had more time to invest in the things that you wanted to invest in the first place, which is why you got focused on that just enough salary, that, oh, we can afford to live in this neighborhood kind of thing. And it's this idea that we're all racing against something. And you are. You're racing against yourself. You're racing against your biological clock. And it's only going to increase over time if you're not focused on your health, your well-being, the quality of your relationships. Surrounding yourself with positive people that enrich your life, not those that deplete and drain you. And I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't do what you need to do to survive, to thrive, to put yourself in a position of empowerment. But it also should come with a warning that just because it looks good on paper now doesn't mean it's going to serve your interests in the long term. Just because you have an opportunity to make X now doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right choice for you. It could be the best decision you've ever made in your life. But it all comes back to clarity. It comes back to grounding yourself in core values. It comes back to the process of understanding why you're doing the things that you're doing. And motivation is tied to clarity. Motivation is tied to an understanding of what your motive is. Not maybe in like such a granular way, but like, what is my motive for life? What is my bigger purpose? What am I attaching myself to? So people who don't have a lot of really good relationships in life tend to seek outside validation, outside motivation, things that are tied to a practice, whatever that is for them. Work, sporting teams, religion, night culture, disassociation, whatever it is. Or it could be things that enrich their life, and they're approaching it from a different perspective, which is that time is a leverageable asset. And there's no race to the bottom. The race to the bottom is something that has been consumed by Western society as a whole, which is why people want to niche down as quickly as possible and go through school like it's some fucking 100-meter sprint. And there's no rejoicing in the mundane and boredom and allowing things to linger and to sit and to enjoy in the process of things, as opposed to destination, 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 destination. You'll miss fucking everything if you think like that. It's never about the destination, and people eventually get there. Everyone gets there. Because if you review deathbed last words, they all have similar underlying sentiments, which is, I wish I worked less, I wish I spent more time with my family, I wish I did the things that were important to me, like really important to me, not just I have to work so I can't spend time with my kids, or and of course everybody's situation is different. And I know that some people, they have to work 4 jobs to support their family, and they live in a fucking shit situation, and that's just their reality. But even in those really extreme situations, there's opportunities to slow time down, to think strategically about your situation and the actions that you're in alignment with, and seeing the opportunity in the stillness, in the presence of laying out all of the factors that you have going on in your life, not just the ones that you think are the pressing situations that are like causing you all of this negative emotional resistance. It's like so stress, the feeling of stress, the feeling of overwhelm. Okay, a lot of people see it as a negative thing. Oh, I'm stressed out. I'm so fucking stressed out. So, okay, if you feel this way, and you are capable, I know you're capable of doing this exercise, okay? It's the simplest fucking thing. You just stop doing whatever the fuck you're doing. Just stop, okay? You take 3 deep breaths. Wow, I even feel better, okay? If 3's not enough, do it again. If 6 is not enough, you fucking keep doing it. You will regulate your nervous system. If you want an even more effective trick, 2, double pump. Big exhale. Double pump through the nose. You can do this at any point, in any moment. It doesn't have to be this big exaggerated thing. You can be incognito. Like, The point is to give yourself an opportunity to break up the incessant pattern in your mind, in your body, reclaim presence, because most likely you were not present, which is why you succumb to all of these subconscious energies that are floating in and out of you, because you lacked clarity, first and foremost. And so with attacking that principle, after you do your breathing, which you must do it. There's no solution more powerful than reclaiming your center and becoming present in a tense, overwhelming, stress-induced situation. And then the next step, after you've calmed down, is you need to seek clarity. You need to understand the catalyst for what those emotions were an indicator of. Oftentimes with overwhelm, it's a lack of understanding of everything that needs to be done in alignment with achieving the goal, whatever that is for the individual, for the project, for the situation. It could be when you're helping your child with math and you're getting frustrated because they're frustrated because it's a struggle for them. And so you're feeding off of their frustration, and instead of helping the situation, you're making it worse because then you get short, you snap at them, you do something that you didn't intend to do, but it was simply a byproduct of lack of clarity, a lack of purpose in that current situation. No focus on the type of person you were choosing to show up as, the emotions that you wanted to feel got lost because you lost your focus. This is true when you're in work, when you are dealing with group environments where you have other people critiquing your work and or putting it up for debate, and it's hard not to take things personally because people are so sensitive in general. And we all seek validation in one form or another. Less and less over time as we become more anti-fragile and more resilient within ourselves and grounded in our own identity, right? It ties back to core values. It ties back to clarity. The practice of always gaining clarity in everything that we do. And we know how to show up because we've done the work and we've defined it for ourselves. And that's what the core values practice is about. Just 2 weeks ago, I found myself standing, or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, I found myself standing in front of my computer. My arm was fucked up. It was in a sling. And I realized that I needed to make this big transition from one platform to another. And it was basically going to set me back a month. But then also looking in the future, going to create all this new opportunity for me. But it was this moment of overwhelm, like, oh, fuck, I have to do all this. And I got into a negative space, but then I took some breaths, realigned my center, and I got clear on what it is that I was doing. And then I started with the end in mind, and I worked backwards. I'm like, okay, what are the things that I need to do to ensure that this is successful? And understanding the first principles behind my decisions. So I would rather spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 20 hours getting crystal fucking clear on something than operating from a position of lack, frustration, an unknowing of the process, but still doing it anyways because I think I have this idea of clarity. But in reality, it isn't clarity. It's the illusion of clarity. So I ground myself. I was like going back to coaching and teaching and training. I'm like, what would I do in this moment if a client called me freaking out? This is what I would do. And I did that. And then 5 minutes later, I felt amazing because I knew which direction I needed to go in. But that 5 minutes for me could be 3 hours for you. And my job is to ensure that you have the skills and the tools and the introspective nature to understand when things are happening inside of you to be able to reclaim your power as quickly as possible. That's why I get paid. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't get paid. And it's not about just getting paid. It's really about showing people that within themselves, they have absolute and total control over their universe. Everyone is operating from a unique universal perspective, right? It's their universe. I have no way of knowing what you see through your eyes, and you have no way of knowing what I see through my eyes, and everybody's different. And showing people that there is untapped power within each and every one of us is such a beautiful thing to share. Because the more we are in alignment with ourselves, the more we can support other people, the more we can be in service to other people, the more impact we can have in positive interactions throughout our life. You know, I'm sure you know people who are just genuinely frustrated, right? It's just like, it's kind of toxic. People who are just not content, or the inability to appreciate what they have and always seeking something more, always trying to get more. But it's like the more they get, the further out of alignment they are. This is the opposite of holistic, aligned living. This is fragmented living. This is not even understanding yourself. And it's a trap that people fall into because they see the validation, but they don't fully understand the cost. You end up losing yourself. You end up pushing yourself further into a position for all the wrong reasons. Life has so much more to offer than that. Life is this beautiful, crazy fucking experiment. And to not have clarity and direction in your daily actions is something to turn scarcity into priority. You can do that by engaging with a community like Everyday Action, showing up for our group guidance and coaching sessions. You can use the links in the description to sign up for that. You can also access the 10 Steps to Everyday Action, which is an ebook outlining 10 steps that you can implement starting immediately in your life to reclaim your power. This also accompanies a 100-day email course that is symbiotic to the 10 Steps to Everyday Action. Again, at no cost to you. You just click the link, enter your name and email, and off you go. If you're interested in working with me, the application link is in the description as well. I really appreciate you showing up. Drop a comment. Let me know what questions you have. I will answer them in my next flow state. So if anybody has a question, you just drop it in the comment of any video. I will respond there, but I will also address it in the flow state episodes and in the Thursday live sessions. The Thursday live sessions, 11 a.m. Pacific US time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. GMT. Till next week, have an incredible week, everybody, and I will see you soon.